Today we'll be covering the Alien Force redesigns from O.R. Ashe's drawing matrix. Starting off with the Ultimate Swampfire, titled Bliss Moss. I think this is such a creative redesign of the original. Like a lot of O.R. Ashe's designs for these Ultimates, it's bulkier, it's heavier, but this one especially keeps a lot of the elements of the original design. Same colour palette, same sort of wispiness to it, but it really embraces that wispiness, and it feels like more of what we had with the original design, but just times 10. I really like the heaviness of this, the weight behind the logs, that sort of wispiness of the flames is just, it's very strong. Ultimate Echo base kick. I'm not as sold on this one. It reminds me a lot of Lucio from Overwatch. Not necessarily visually, but just something about it. Probably the colour palette, I'd say. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. It's very different from Echo. I suppose in a similar way to the original Ultimate Echo, you do lose the cloning ability, but the amplification of sound makes sense. I see the series could go in this way as well. I mean, the series literally did. This isn't my absolute favourite, to be honest with you. Ultimate Humongous Haw, Chain Scale. I love this. The colour palette immediately stands out. I love how dry it feels, how cracked up he is. It feels like a living fossil come to life. It reminds me a lot of an episode of Star Wars The Clone Wars where they fight this sort of dragon. I really like this a lot. The armoured skin feels more like armour. I don't know what more to say about this one. The jaw, I really like the jaw. The counterbalancing of weight in the tail is really strong. I really like how that tail feels like a club. There's something about the way the jaw curves, it just really works. I really like this one. Ultimate Jet Ray, we're on a bit of a roll here. I really like Ultimate Jet Ray. It feels like everything that Jet Ray was and could have been. This just feels like such a natural evolution, becoming larger in that more manta ray-like shape. Everything about this just works so well. I'm almost lost for words. The colour palette works really well. The colour palette's quite different from Jet Ray, but keeping those gold accents, it's really strong. I like that it's all much more exaggerated. I love the tail. Everything about this just works. Ultimate Big Chill or Shadow Swarm. The absolute roll here. I love Big Chill. Potentially my favourite Alien Force alien. This is so good. It feels more like a moth. Those fingers are so eerie. The way the sort of body language is so strong. I love the little smaller Big Chills hidden within the cloak. Again, similar to the first design we talked about today, very wispy. I think this colour palette works so well with Big Chill. It's a lot like the other Necrophrygians that we see on its homeworld. Yeah, just so strong. I love it. Yeah. If I were to rank them, this would be number one, probably closely followed by Humongous Haw's redesign. Slightly breaking the sort of gushing that I've been doing the last few minutes. I'm not as sold on this version of Chroma Stone. The colour palette works. It's very Diamond Head reminiscent. The head shape's good. I just think the sacrificing of the legs doesn't work for me personally. It works for the design. I think it works for the character, especially of Chroma Stone. Why would he need legs? He floats. I like the proportions of the forearm. I like how the crystals sort of stick out of the back of the forearm. Color works well. I like the rock details like we see in Alien Force Diamond Head, but I'm just proportionately I don't like this as much. I think maybe I would have thickened up the shoulders, maybe made the arms slightly shorter. Maybe made that base even larger. I probably would have enjoyed that. The second Ultimate Chroma Stone design, this is this is a lot of what I was pitching for the previous one. You do have the legs, but it still floats. It doesn't feel like it walks around. The colours are really interesting. I like that it reminds me a lot of when Chroma Stone absorbs energy. I really like that big hand. I'm a big fan of big hands. Very Diamond Head reminiscent. This one probably has a closer to Chroma Stone's face. I like this sort of ethereal arm coming apart there, floating. This feels like a stronger concept, but the previous one, I don't know. There's something in between these two designs I really enjoy. Ultimate Spider Monkey, Bugaboon. This is awesome. Really strong. I think making it a baboon really works. I like the 4 eyes. Is it 4? Yeah, I think it's 4. I really like the body language here. The colour palette works really well, especially those sort of pops of that sort of yellowy beigey colour really work in the fur. This feels much more alien and monstrous, like I think I often say about O.R. Ashe's designs. I love the way the mouth opens. It's so frightening. There's something about the way that the spider elements are incorporated into the baboon elements that I just love. I love those smaller feet. Like, why would it ever put weight on those feet? Because it has these enormous extra limbs. Yeah, I really like that. Also, it's making me really realise how Ultimate Spider Monkey really is more like an Iron Spider or a Doc Ock as opposed to actually just having multiple standard limbs. Ultimate Brainstorm Riptop. Yeah, this is interesting. I like this sort of pseudo enclosed brain here. The colours are really strong. I really like the face. I'm mixed on the body being disconnected though. Conceptually it's really interesting, but just from a visual standpoint, I'm not as strong on it. Maybe if the torso was slightly closer, maybe if the limbs were further removed, slightly higher up, even just a change in pose might make me like this a little bit more. But I don't dislike it, but it's not as good as what I'm going to say the upcoming design is. This is my preferred Ultimate Brainstorm, Copper Cannon. There's something about the charging electricity and really leaning into that sort of Brainstorm I really enjoy. I like the sort of keeping of the body shape. I think potentially you could have done more with that. Great colour palette. The way the claws open up is so strong. Again, I really like the face in this one. It is reasonably different than the previous face, but yeah, just quite strong. Ultimate Goop, this is fantastic. There's something about this sort of giant slime creature. It's much less humanoid, but still sort of maintains what Goop is. I think the change to the eyes is really interesting. Something about it just works. The colours are amazing. The way Oash has blended these purples into these greens are just really strong. A lot of these designs I'm just ending with are really strong. There's a few that I'm sort of not as strong on, but almost all of these are just, chef's kiss. Disregard, I'm not a huge fan of Ultimate Lodestar, Farewell. It's not bad, it's just not for me, I'd say. I love the hands, something about that I really like. I think proportionately, interesting. I'm noticing a theme of what I do and don't like with this compared to the sort of the first chromosome design. I just think the head's throwing me off. I think maybe if you bulked out the shoulders a little bit, I'm not too sure. I don't know. It's something about the pattern's interesting. I really like, if you just zoom in on just the head, awesome. But incorporating the head into the body, I'm just not sure about. Ultimate Wrath, Hostel Gatto. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I really like this, very leaning to the sort of Hulk Hogan inspiration there. I really like the confidence of that sort of come here, sort of look at me, I'm the champion sort of look. The colour palette works really well with Wrath. I think the more saber-tooth elements work so well. The increasing of the claws, everything about this. Just notice he's got pants on, that's very clever. This is one of the stronger contenders for my favourite spot here. Ultimate Nanomech, Botfly. Yeah, this just works. It's clever. I like that sort of heat radiating off of its fingertips and toes and even sort of towards the back of the head. I'm not sure about the exact posing of this drawing here I'm not sure about the weight distribution with this one. I feel like his back's just too large for his body slightly, but even so, I think maybe the posing, if it was more sort of leaning back into that, I would have enjoyed. The colour palette works really well here. Yeah, I actually quite like the placing of the Omnitrix there. I hadn't noticed that till just now. Yeah, really great. Ultimate Water Hazard, Blaster Cast. The blue is a nice contrast to the red. I think the chest piece is really good. Something about the head is very Alien. When I say Alien, the film Aliens, not just Alien in general. Something about the fur really works. There's something about the bendiness of the arms into this sort of shell really works. I suppose some crabs do have that sort of thing going on. I really like it. The chest especially, the colours work, the cannons on the shoulders work as well. Sort of a middle of the road design for this one. There's some really strong elements, but it doesn't jump out to me as one of the ones I really want to gush over. Ultimate Amphibian, Voltar. This is a bit stronger to me. I think the colour works really well. I think that sort of flowiness of colours like with the goop design is really good. I think making him more obviously a jellyfish is interesting. I think that sort of, the headpiece works really well. That sort of homage to the original design in the cloak works really nicely. Not much more to say about that one. Ultimate Armadillo. It definitely isn't Ultimate Armadillo, is what I have to say about this one. It feels bulkier, it feels heavier. I have such a love for the original Armadillo design. I'm not sure. I've just seen the name as Excavate. That's really clever. Yeah, the colours work. Orange from yellow works. I think the bulkiness works. It's not for me as much Ultimate Terraspin or Roundabout. The fun design. I think the floatiness of it, the alienness of it, the adding the armour. It feels very classic Ultimate Humongousaur to me. Ultimate NRG, Nucleaver. I think this is awesome. There's something about taking the bulkiness of NRG, which I already loved, and just melting it. I really like this. The hooks are so menacing. NRG always have menacingness to them, but this is awesome. Something about the flowiness of it, that sort of feels like a knight's armor almost. Yeah, really good. Ultimate Shock Squatch. This is, I don't know, reminds me of Omniverse Shock Squatch more than the first design we see in the Generator Rex crossover, but I do like this. The feet are quite large, which is interesting for our Ash, considering our Ash likes taking away the feet. Colours work really well. I think the sort of gold of the bolts of lightning have such a nice contrast to the blue. Maybe is the head a little too small? Although I feel like this is such a giant design that it sort of makes sense, but maybe just in this image, maybe the pose is what I'm not too sure about. Overall, it's great. I think all of these designs are fantastic. I really appreciate the support I've been getting on these videos. If you have any thoughts about the Ultimates, please let me know. If you disagree or agree, please let me know. And thanks for watching.